Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Trisha. This is my channel 3 Olive Threads, where we talk about cross stitch and other things that I'm into. And right now I'm into And They Sinned. I had this idea over a year ago to start a stitch along where I would record on Sundays working on And They Sinned by Villa Becklin. And I decided there's no time better than right now, and I'm excited for all of you to join me. So, right now, full disclosure, this is a voiceover. My house is very busy with the holidays, and there is no place for me to record in quiet. So we're going to try this. Let's see what happens. Right now I'm picking out my floss. In my lap, you see that all my flosses are divided into these amazing little bags. Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff had a business a while ago where she would organize very large projects, put them all together, send them back to you for ease of use. I did use her service for this project. I love it. I also haven't stitched on this for well over a year, so it is time. Before we get into where the heck Trisha has been for the past 9 months, let's talk a little bit about the idea that I have going forward. So you'll see in the subject of this video a hashtag Sundays We Sin Sal, S-A-L, for Stitch Along. I used this hashtag when I first started my project. I believe that Lucretia and I, look, there's Lola, we'll talk about her too. I believe that Lucretia and I started this, I think, on the same day. I can't recall for sure. And we both thought that On Sundays We Sin was fantastic. A little bit of alliteration, a little bit of reverence. That is how I do life. And our thought was on Sundays we would work on this project. Lucretia is so much farther along than me because she stitches and apparently I don't. So my plan for 2024 is to use Sundays to upload stitch alongs where I am working on either And They Sinned or other religious type pieces. So I am not a religious person at all, but if you've been with me for any length of time, you know that I have a deep love for Adam and Eve. This is why I love this project so much. I have several Adam and Eve charts that I would like to stitch. I have a few in progress, and as I was going through one of my whip boxes yesterday to find more projects, I realized I have quite a hefty handful of what you could consider to be religious themed cross stitches. And I hope to showcase some of them in this hopefully weekly series. Try not to put too much pressure on myself, but my gosh, I need to spend a little bit more time with needle and thread. My mental health definitely suffers when I'm not doing something fun for myself, and this feels fun, so we're going to run with it as much as we can. So on Sundays, I will have a video between 30 and 45 minutes. That's a good stitching session for me. And we'll talk about various topics. So today is just the intro and a little bit about where I've been. So that's the goal. That's what you're seeing here. This is just a very low key. I'm going to sit and stitch for a while. Hopefully it won't be too stressful. though, in a little bit, you'll see that I get a knot pretty early on in my thread. That was really irritating. It happens. We're stitchers. It happens. One, happy New Year's Eve. At the time this is uploading, it is December 31st. It is the last day of 2023, and if I'm perfectly honest, I am happy to see this year in the rearview mirror. 2024 cannot come soon enough. It's only a day away, but it could be immediate, and I would be happy. Where have I been? I think the last time I uploaded a video was after our trip to Hawaii. That was mid-February. It might have been early March, not for sure. A lot has happened since March 2023. I may or may not have talked about it, probably not, but I took a new position at the college that I work at. I was appointed the executive assistant to the president at my local community college. It was an honor. It was weird. It was nerve-wracking. I was nervous and sweaty for weeks. I've been in that role for almost 6 months now. I am still nervous and sweaty. I think every day it will be fine. The new role that I took was to replace the standing executive assistant. She was retiring, and she actually had reached out to me probably a year prior. It was the previous summer, and kind of asked about what my plans were at the college, how much time I had in, how long had I really been there. And through talking, she said, I think you would just be amazing in this role. And I thought, oh, okay, because we are our worst critic. In all actuality, oh, there's my knot. In all actuality, I have been with this college over 2 tours of duty for over 20 years. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of things. My previous supervisor was an executive. She and I worked really well together. We continue to work really well together, and she really was training me for something bigger since I started working with her. So when I was offered the position, it was I felt very imposter syndrome-y. It was a lot. Mentally, it was a lot, but I was excited for the challenge. I absolutely love my new team. I love working with the president. I love working with the chief of staff. I love working in my new office and my suite mates. But it is a different level of crazy. It really is. But I am enjoying it. I have been enjoying it a little less than I think I will eventually be, because I am still supporting my previous supervisor. So supporting an AVP and the president, two very different roles, two very, very different roles, and two very different levels of support has been a lot for me. I am so happy to say that after a 6-month-long search process, we have somebody to take over my previous position. She should be starting the second week of January. I absolutely cannot wait. She was the last interview that we had, and the 3 of us on the search committee were like, yep, she is the one. Make this happen immediately. Thankfully, she accepted the position. She's doing all of the paperwork, and she should be on board in another week and a half or so. I am so excited, because that means all of the things that I was doing in that role, somebody else will be handling, and I can focus 100% on my current position, on what my boss needs, really dig in, learn him, make this new role my own, because I have a different flavor than the previous executive assistant did. And I'm excited to really give 100%. to my boss. And I think he's excited about it too. I think we're all very excited. So I am moving into 2023 feeling very positive about my professional future moving forward, digging in and making things happen. That is one thing. Another part of why I have been absent is in October, we got a new puppy. Um, Lucy, many of you, if you have been with me for any amount of time, especially in my very early days, you will remember Lucy from my videos. I used to record right behind the couch. She would lay on the couch and snore, seemingly right into the microphone. Right into the microphone. So, especially if you were wearing headphones, you would hear her snoring. She was a fan favorite. She passed the Tuesday after Memorial Day, 2023. That weekend, she really declined. She had some things come up that were not recoverable. And so when the vet opened back up on Tuesday, Leaf and I took her in, and she passed peacefully on the table with both of us loving her and with a big fart at the end, as we would expect Lucy to do. She was our last pet in the house, other than Axel's 3 fish that refused to die. Oh, those fish. And the agreement that Leaf and I made was we would not get a dog unless we were getting 2 cats. So I have said over and over, I am a cat person. My husband is most definitely a dog person over a cat person. I am not willing to give up kitties for the rest of my life. Not going to happen. But also recognizing that we probably needed a break from animals for a while. So we were without any animals for the rest of the spring and the summer. We had a lot of freedom. You don't really realize, I think, until you don't have pets, how much they really rely on you. Obviously, dogs definitely, I think, more than cats, because dogs require a higher level of care. So we had talked about it, we weren't going to, we had talked about it, we weren't going to, and other events happened where I felt like, okay, now is the time for us to look for a puppy. So I had a really hard time. We knew that we wanted another pug. Lucy was fantastic for our family. Pugs are so cute. They're easygoing. They're extremely loyal. But once they grow out of their puppy stage, they just get super lazy. And that was my favorite. Like, I loved how just easy Lucy was. She just wanted to be at somebody's feet. It didn't matter. She wanted to be in the same room with you. Sometimes that was annoying, but mostly she just wanted to be by her people. Didn't need to be on you or anything, just needed to be near you. Just wanted to see you. So we thought a pug would be great. I wanted a black pug. I wanted a black pug when we got Lucy and Morgan back in 2010. Black pugs were not in our price range way back then. But I said, if we're getting a dog, I want the dog that I want. So I ended up finding the Good Dog app. I found it online somewhere through a Google search, and it basically, you fill out a profile of what you're looking for, and then you find vetted, reputable breeders through this app, depending on how far you're willing to travel. So I think I put my travel distance at like 200 miles. Leif and I were willing to drive to a different state if we needed to, though researching some of the states and breeders, there are better states than others to get purebred dogs. We ended up finding a hobby breeder 15 minutes away from Leaf's parents' house, and she happened to have pugs that would be ready early October, and she had two female black pug puppies. So we reached out to her and we did a FaceTime call. I think at that time the puppies were about 4 weeks. And we FaceTimed with her. She felt very comfortable with us. We felt very comfortable with her. You know, her family was on the call. She showed us the puppies. She showed us the puppies. She showed us her house, and we just kind of went from there. After a few weeks, we made a plan to visit. We were going to visit Leaf's mom and brother, and we made a plan to visit the breeder's house so that we could introduce Lola to the boys. That was going to be a surprise for them. They did not know we were looking for a dog. They took Lucy's passing very, very hard. Like, Axel was devastated. I didn't know that he liked Lucy that much. He was devastated when we had to take her to the vet. We let him stay home from school, I think, 2 days, because he would just cry randomly. It was insane. So we were going to surprise the boys with a new puppy, and Lola and the rest of her litter went to the vet the Tuesday before we were going to pick her up. They were 6 weeks old at that point. And the breeder called me and she said, Lola is the biggest of the litter. She's 3 pounds at that time. The vet has cleared her to go home early, so she'll be 7 weeks when you're up this weekend. And if you're interested, you can just take her home. And we, of course, said, yes, immediately, of course. So we packed up the kids in the car, Saturday morning, and we decided instead of picking Lola up on our way out of town on Sunday, we would pick her up on Saturday so that Leaf's mom could spend time with her too at the house. We got to Leaf's mom's house. We dropped off the kids, called the breeder, and she said, I'll meet you. So we didn't end up going to her house. We'll meet you. And Leaf and I went and picked Lola up at a Harley-Davidson dealership. It was so funny. She was the tiniest little snuggly nugget I have ever seen in my whole entire life. Absolutely precious. We just wanted to die. She came home with a teeny tiny pink collar with a little purple bell. It was so adorable. So we took her home, snuck her in the back door, somehow wrangled the kids to come into the room and just kind of let her go. And I don't think I have ever seen Axel more in love with any living creature on this planet. It's, it brings tears literally to my eyes to think about how enamored he was and still is with her. Archer just didn't quite know what to do with her. She was so tiny, and it didn't seem like he was super interested. I think he was just afraid of breaking her. But Axel just wanted to hold her 24/7, so that's kind of what he did. Got her home. She just went to the vet for a checkup today for my vet. She is 4 months and 11 days, so she's almost 4.5 months. She is now, they weighed her in at 13 pounds. I weighed her yesterday at 12, but and she is just a delight, but she requires a lot of attention. We are still working on housebreaking. She is very good about going outside and doing her business, but she's not very good at telling us that she needs to go outside and do her business. So I'm trying to bell train her. That's not working very well because right now she's just afraid of the bell. But we have to check on her. She is a puppy. She gets into things. When I tried to start stitching a little bit a couple weeks ago, she got up on my stitching chair and grabbed needle and thread that was loose. It was just on a needle minder, and ran through the house with it. And I thought for sure she was going to swallow that needle and die. Not cool. Not cool, Lola. Not cool. So I have to really watch her. I have to, pick everything up now. Like Lucy, I could throw yarn and a cross stitch project on the floor, and the worst that she would do is lay on it. Like, she didn't chew on stuff. She didn't try to steal anything. Lola is a little sneak, and she will steal anything she can get her hands on because she's a puppy. So there has not been a lot of stitching. I've been trying to knit, but I can't. Like, everything has to be put away the second that I put it down. I can't sit on the couch with her out and do anything because she wants to be on top of me. And everything is a toy to her. Anything in my hands is a toy. It's a little bit of a nightmare. I have lost my crap a couple times about it. Um, but she's worth it. She is absolutely worth it. You'll see her, if I keep using the same setup, you will see her more kind of running by my feet or running by because she's trying to get attention. She doesn't like me sitting in my stitching chair and not being on my lap. She requires a lot of attention. A lot of attention. But we're gonna learn. We're gonna teach her, and it's gonna be just fine. It's gonna be great. So another reason why I haven't been around a whole lot is because we separated the boys' bedrooms. They have been sharing a room since forever. Remember, I have 3 boys. For those of you that don't know, I have 3 boys. Today is AJ's birthday. Happy birthday, AJ. He is 22 today, if you can believe that nonsense. 22. He lives in a different city. He lives about 6 hours away. He was home for Christmas. That was amazing. But he is living his own life in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, going to school, living with a couple friends. They run a house. He's doing all of the adult things. I love that for him. When he moved out, basically in 2020, moved in with his dad before he went to college, I took his bedroom over as my home office because I was working full-time remote. Since then, we have adopted a hybrid situation, and I was using that room as my office and craft room and recording space. You have seen it in the past, and it was just time to separate the little boys. They are 11 and 9. Archer's birthday is actually January 2nd, so that is just coming up in a couple days. It was time for them to have their own space. We had the space. Let's put them in their own rooms. So I spent Thanksgiving weekend moving all of my work stuff, all of my craft stuff, most of the stuff, into the basement, into the kids' old gaming space. And then we bought the boys new beds and we set those up. They went to my in-laws over Thanksgiving so that I could get all this done. And then now I just have craft stuff everywhere because the room that I will be moving into, that will be my office in the basement, needs a new floor, needs paint on the walls, needs new electrical, needs a ceiling. Like, it's going to be a big project. Because the boys are separated, because I don't have a dedicated space, I literally do not have a dedicated space. I don't have a place to record. I don't have a place that doesn't have somebody around me. Stitching upstairs is fine, except for the dog is needy. Recording upstairs with the boys up in their bedrooms. Like, before, everybody would just go into the basement and I could just have the upstairs to myself to do what I needed to do. Now the boys are upstairs. Leaf is sometimes downstairs. I need to work. I can't take a quick break and do something. This is why Vlogmas was such an epic fail for me. I haven't had any space to myself. In fact, right now, doing this voiceover is because Leaf is upstairs taking a nap. And also, I already had a kid come down here and interrupt me. Bless their hearts. But again, I think these are the growing pains of a family and just kind of a different season in life. I am finding that this year it's been a season of sorts, different jobs, supporting two bosses, kids growing up, getting a new animal, and then probably the biggest thing that happened was late this summer. Leif was diagnosed with cancer. He has kept this extremely quiet. There are not a whole lot of people that know, but he did give me full permission to share this on FlossTube, which I thought was funny and slightly sweet. So some of you have met Leif. Some of you know him. Some of you met him more than once, and then some of you have hung out with him. So mid-summer, Leif told me that he had a lump on his neck. And back in 2017, he had a cyst that he had removed. It was benign. It was considered actually a growth defect, or a birth defect, something that he was born with that just kind of grows, gets out of control. You take it out, it's fine. But they did tell us when he had that surgery, there's a chance this could grow back. So when he told me he had a lump, even though it was in a different place, I was like, you can call the doctor. You know what to do. You're a grown man. Call a doctor. Maybe that cyst came back or something. It didn't hurt, though the more he pressed on it, the more it hurt. And he went to our primary care office. They examined him and decided to do, I can't remember the actual order, but they did an ultrasound and they did a fine needle aspiration. And I think they must have tried to do the aspiration first. And they got a few cells back. It was mostly solid. And they got some cells back that looked a little sus. He didn't really tell me all of this. He didn't tell me this stuff. And so they ended up also doing an ultrasound, and then they sent the ultrasound results to an ENT, and he went to the ear, nose, and throat doctor, and they did their own examination. I can't remember if they tried to do a needle biopsy as well. And they were like, this definitely looks cancerous. So he was diagnosed with P18, which is HPV squamous cell carcinoma on the base of his tongue. So this is where I insert my experience and say if you have children or grandchildren that qualify for the Gardasil vaccine, which is the HPV vaccine that can absolutely eradicate the chance for your child or grandchild to get this type of cancer, please, 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 please talk to your physician and see if that's something that's a good option for your child or grandchild, because it can absolutely prevent this type of cancer completely. End PSA. So Leaf, he had a PET scan. The base of his tongue lit up. He also had some uptake in, looked like the tonsil area. So the doctor was concerned about finding the source of the cancer so that they could treat it. He went in for a surgical biopsy, and it took a lot longer than it should have because the cancer was so microscopic that they took 3 biopsies in different areas of his tongue to try to find the cancer and actually could not find it under the microscope in the OR. So after 3 times, since they couldn't find the source, they ended up taking his tonsils as well. So Leaf is 52 years old, and he had to have a full tonsillectomy. Wasn't his favorite. Was not his favorite. He did fine. But it is not a fun procedure for anybody, especially an adult. Took his tonsils. Tonsils came back clean, but they did, with pathology, when they sent away the tissues, they did find the cancer at the base of his tongue. They let him heal up a few weeks from the tonsillectomy. And the first full week of November, he started treatment. We are done now. His last treatment appointment was December 27th. He did 7 rounds of chemotherapy. So it was once a week, Tuesday afternoons. We went to the infusion center, 7 rounds of chemotherapy and 35 radiation sessions. To say that this has been difficult is a severe understatement. Chemo was okay, except for, he didn't lose his hair. That's not the kind of medication they gave him. But he did lose the ability to taste well. So it was about a week and a half after his first chemotherapy that his taste started to change. And when it really happened, we went to dinner. We went to a sushi place, and he said everything tasted like shit. And that was really hard for him because Leaf is very food motivated. He is extremely food motivated. So that really sucked. And once everything tasted bad, he didn't want to eat. Before his treatments, he did have a port placed in his chest, and he had a feeding tube placed, a peg. We were told by the nutritionist, Wendy, she's amazing, you're going to use this. And Leif said, no, I don't think that I will. And she said, you will. You will. It may not be right away, but you will absolutely be using this feeding tube. So we're placing it because you're going to need it. Because you're not going to want to eat. And sure enough, he did not want to eat when he couldn't taste things. And then the radiation, where they point it basically burns your neck. Burns your throat, burns your tongue, burns your mouth. And the last 3 weeks of his treatment, he was having a hard time drinking water because it was so painful. The last 2 weeks of his treatment, he actually was given a liquid pain med just so that he could swallow. The radiation gave him extremely red skin on his neck and a little bit of his chest. In a couple places, it actually looked like it was going to blister. In the beginning, the first four weeks, I think, they do a wide spray of radiation, and then the last couple, they hone it in a little bit more and a little bit more, so it gets more targeted as the cancer gets smaller. So his outside skin started healing a couple weeks ago, which was really nice, but inside of his mouth is extremely painful. He is not eating. He's using the feeding tube 100%, and most of his hydration right now is coming from the feeding tube as well. However, he's really good at it. He's really good at managing all of the things that he needs to manage, which is great. His last chemotherapy was December 19th. His last radiation was December 27th, and he is on a full healing track now. Not only were the last 2 weeks really painful, but he was also just exhausted, extremely tired. And for those of you that know Leaf, I'm sure you will not be surprised that he did not miss a day of work. He was flexible enough with his schedule that his chemo days, he would work up until we left at like 2 in the afternoon. And then he would either take his laptop to the infusion center, he did that a couple times, or he would work on his phone. His radiation appointments were door to door about 45 minutes. Thankfully, we live very close to the hospital. So he would just kind of take his lunch hour and go do the radiations. He did not miss one day of work. He's a better man than I am. There's no way I would be able to handle that. There's one thing that I don't think is talked about enough, and I probably should have taken better care of myself during this time, and that is the fatigue on a caregiver. And if you could see me, I'm using air quotes for caregiver because I don't think I'm a very great one. Um, I tried to do what I could, but it's really stressful. And I never wanted to make it about, this isn't about me. This isn't my illness. This isn't my cancer experience. But I know there are some of you out there that can appreciate how hard it is to see someone that you care for go through something like this. Hard, 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 hard. Mentally, oh my gosh, so mentally draining. Obviously, I'm still choked up about it. It's ridiculous. I'm just, ugh, I'm just so thankful that we are at the end of this point. This type of cancer has a very high success rate with the mode of treatment he chose with radiation and chemotherapy. It wasn't a choice. It was, this is what you need to do. And we're like, yep, this is what we're going to do. I have no doubts in my mind that when he gets his 3-month scan, we have to wait for 3 months. Then he gets his 3-month scan, that this is going to be resolved, that he is going to be 100% fine. But it's been a lot. It's been a lot to watch. It's been a lot to experience. Seeing my husband does not complain. He is not a complainer. He doesn't get rattled. He doesn't get upset. But this was definitely an upsetting situation. And it was more just that he felt so awful and he's not used to that. He has lost about 35 to 40 pounds. And he's a bigger guy. Again, those of you that have met him, he's a bigger guy. He's looking lean and mean right now, though. I was like, "Hey, you're looking good," and he looks great. Other than he's exhausted. Um, so at the end of it, looking back, it seems like it's gone really fast, but it was not really that fast. And again, when I say that I am happy to see 2023 in the rear view, I am so happy to see 2023 in the rear view mirror. So we are fine. We will be fine, but it has been a lot. And unfortunately, the time that I took off from like my business, I took a few months off. My nest egg, which Leaf was not excited about when I decided to do that, but I'm so glad that I did because I have not had brain space for anything. I had the best intentions of catching up on 3 All Threads work. I've got boxes of inventory that I'm still hanging on to that haven't been listed. I've got some good stuff in here. And nothing happened. I was going to work on a website. I was going to work on my social media. I was going to do all of these things thinking I'm going to have headspace to do this. And that could not have been further from the truth. And I really wish that somebody would have told me, just relax, like just try to relax, even though there was no way to do it. There was no way to relax, but try. Or just take care of yourself and your family. And I wasn't able to really do that much because there was so much going on at work, so much going on at home. It's been a lot. been a lot. Have I said it's been a lot? It's been a lot. So that's where I've been. That's what we've been doing. Let's talk about the stitch along at the very end. I would love for you to comment below if you are interested in doing On Sundays We Sin together. I would love it. I'm going to post more on my Instagram at 3allthreads. The little handle is below if you want to follow me there. I'm going to do my best to upload Sunday videos just like this, but talking about different things. They won't always be this heavy, I promise. They might just be chatty life updates. Maybe I'll put music. Who knows what I'm going to do? But I think it's, for me, this is a time for me to sit down and just be with my needle and thread, and to take time to connect with this cross stitch community that I feel so out of touch with right now, and to chat with some of you and talk about, some experiences, do some stuff, chat about some things. I have missed you all so much. So comment below. Let me know if you're going to be joining me. Again, there are no rules. I'm not the boss of you. You can do whatever you want. Stitch along on anything and listen along with me. Any Adam and Eve pieces. I know I've got more somewhere. I just have to find them. So I'm going to be working on different things, or religious pieces. I think go along with the theme. Great. No sinning is actually required. I promise you. I'm not asking you to be bad. I just really like that Sunday sinning alliteration. That's fun for me. And again, and they sinned, and it just seemed on brand. I'm so excited to work on these pieces. I'm excited to take you along with me. I really appreciate you listening to this very long instance of where I have been. I appreciate all of your support. Feel free to send us some good vibes. I know Leaf would appreciate those as well. He's getting better. It's going to be a road of healing, but he's feeling better. I'm just smiling, thinking about all of you backing us here. I believe in the power of positive thoughts, good vibes, good juju. Send them all our way. Also good vibes for surviving this puppy stage, because it's crazy. Stay stitchy, friends. I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.